All right, hopefully that's the right orientation now. I am going to go over a few places in Italy, mostly because they're interesting photos, not so many stories, but I wanted to recap the rest of that country because I've done a few other stories from that area. And sometimes as a traveler, you just travel. All right, so now we can start with Venice. When we first arrived, it was very, very foggy. I was traveling with a friend at that point in time. What we found out was it's very, very difficult to get around in Venice. My journal has notes about how there are canals everywhere. Let's see. That there are canals everywhere. The buildings are falling apart, but the water actually was not as odd looking to me as I had expected. I thought that it was going to be pretty, it had a very strange green color, but it wasn't as polluted as I had kind of envisioned Venice to be. One of the strange things was we checked out, we got in on the train, then went back to wander around in the evening. And there was this man that was walking down the sidewalk. So it was kind of a deserted little area. We ended up getting fairly lost since there were canals everywhere. And this man was walking down the sidewalk, or it was in a plaza, and he was sticking his tongue out and swiveling it back and forth and making these slurpy noises. And Kathy and I thought, oh my God, the man is insane. Like, what has happened? This is not safe. But as it turns out, that at that point in time was the way that men treated women, and that they showed that they were interested in you was to look like a damn lizard. I took this picture because I really don't like being surrounded by birds, and I couldn't believe that this young girl was intentionally allowing all these birds to come to her. It freaked me out. So Venice was really beautiful. One of the times when we got lost, whoops, I gotta change that one because I really like this picture. Watch your eyes, it's gonna go very bright white. One of the places that, let's see, it goes that way, we wandered over to was a little island, and turned out to probably be some type of, seemed like a ghetto when we were there. I have no idea. I have different ideas about things at that point than I do now. But they obviously had all their clothes hanging out in their laundry, and there were some kids around. I just thought it was a beautiful scene, so I took a picture, and then they all come running up to us, and they're speaking as fast as they can in Italian, and of course we can't understand anything they're saying, but they're very, very friendly. Nice spot to have wandered into. Venice was incredibly, in my opinion, it was very polluted. The water was polluted, the air was polluted. I kind of don't understand how we keep surviving with how terrible it is, but I guess that's why people are really sick. Just lovely spots to wander around. Let me see, there was one thing I wanted to read from my journal. I will look for that. It was very foggy in Venice, canals everywhere, but sidewalks not. Water is a strange green, but doesn't look as dirty as I expected. Cement falling off most of the buildings. Every street is little. There are no cars or buses. Only canals with boats and bridges that go way up and over the water. We stumbled upon a church, St. Mark's Church and Square. You just kind of find yourself into all these amazing places, and they have incredible art everywhere. We were backpack travelers, but we were hostel travelers, so we had a propensity to spend a lot of time in museums and in churches, because in Europe, when you are under the age of 26 at that point in time. You could get into museums for free, or at least certain days they would let you go in for free. So we saw an enormous amount of the interiors of churches, and they are just incredible places. A lot of the museums are in what used to be palaces, that they were individuals' homes, which is pretty impossible to comprehend that, whoops, that one's upside down, that people lived in these places. But now you are able to go and see them as just a regular folk, which is pretty incredible. So the men were really obnoxious everywhere we went. There were also, at night when we would walk out, there were quite a few teenage boys everywhere, but we saw almost no teenage girls out. There were also a lot of police. They had certain kinds of machine guns everywhere. We were at one square, and there were 30 police there. It's really lovely to be there and see how many places that you've heard about you get to run into. These last few pictures have been from Florence, and that's a baptismal scene. This next one is from Milan, and I found the men in Milan incredibly attractive, but not very pleasant. Often you were walking down the sidewalk, they would walk over to your side of the sidewalk and just walk right in front of you. And I just body blocked them and pushed them out of my way. I was not going to move over. This is like the Last Supper scene, I believe. And then this one is also part of it. So these are now in Rome. One of the hostels that we stayed in was an old palace, which is pretty incredible also that you get to just sleep in a palace. We had, like I said, we had a lot of trouble with the men, but here's a story of a little bit nicer event. We had taken a bus. We were just sitting on the bus, and it stopped. No one on or off. And my friend and I were wondering what was going on. The driver said something, and we didn't hear. So a guy on the bus said, "Ostello," straight to us. And we realized it was our stop, that's where the hostel was. And the bus had just been sitting, waiting for us to get off and waiting patiently. So they were sometimes friendly. We did sit down at a restaurant one time, and they charged us a cover fee, and then they charged us a sit-down fee. So that was the last time that we thought we would ever sit in a restaurant, because it was extremely expensive to take that route. They put a 15% gratuity on our bill, on top of including a 15% gratuity on the cover itself. Let's see. So these are, again, more from Rome. And the thing that's pretty fascinating about it is, it's certainly a lot of amazing work inside the places you go, but it's also pretty fascinating that when you're just walking down the street, there's art everywhere. This is the famous fountain. I must have met some guy there, because I remember getting some letter back from somebody one time, and anyway, don't know. I do know there was a night when my friend found some guy that she thought was really attractive. So, and that person said we could have a place to stay for the night. Whoops. Let's get where you can see the dude's beard. Beard is one of the most amazing parts. And so look at those muscles, just incredible. All of it's made out of marble. Couldn't use a flash, and at the time I didn't have really great lenses. And this is also slides, so whatever your ISO was is all that you got to use. The one night my friend met some guy. He said, y'all can come with me and stay at this place. So we went over there, and somehow or another we all ended up in the same bed, which I had no interest in being in. So eventually I got up, went to the bathroom, was like, Kathy, I don't want any of this. And she was not happy that the guy had also tried to set this thing up. So the man that was a nicer friend offered us a separate room, which we stayed there. And the guy that Kathy, the girl, had liked, just got up and walked out. Sometimes you make really stupid choices in life. So there was one other tale from Rome. See what it is. This is just one of the places we went into. The rooms themselves are fantastic, plus the art. Saw Egyptian map. Hold on, it's not very bright. A long hall with incredible paintings on ceilings, Greek and Roman statues, nice courtyard with more statues, Rome with bronze statues, tapestries designed by Raphael, rooms painted by Raphael that are overwhelming, the Sistine Chapel with lots of people's work, and the ceiling, and one wall by Michelangelo. Thought it was going to be sort of dark and hard to see, but it was great. Then when we ran through the modern art, this was mostly in the Vatican, big wall outside where Vatican City is, and we were able to actually climb up to the top and go out on the balcony where the Vatican gives his talk. The first time we went through the Sistine Chapel, through the Vatican, there were very few people, and then we went back another time, and there were a lot of people in it. The Vatican is the richest country in the world. They have an incredible amount of art and gold, and it's really overwhelming to me to be there when you think about the fact that it is a spiritual place. And they have invested in all this art, but when you see a lot of the churches around the world, the little Catholic churches in very, very poor locations, I don't know. It's a hard comparison to make when you're just back to back with all this wealth and then all this poorness. But it was very, very, very much a different era when all of these things were built. I believe there was one other thing I was going to do. Oh yeah, we were running up the Spanish steps, and just a word to the wise, and there's a lot of little gypsy children is what they refer to them as. At least they did at that point. And they would run up, they were running behind us, and I felt them, and I snapped around real quickly. My friend was just kind of shrugging it off. What they had done was put newspapers across the backpack, and they were trying to unzip it and pickpocket that way. But they got her bag open, but they didn't actually get anything out. I don't know that you'll be able to see any of this. There were a couple things in the Vatican that I just fell for. I think that's a pair of earrings that I thought was really amazing. They also had some small little ring that was gorgeous. A few more. Oh, so there's the one building that has the opening in the center of it, the ocelot eye. I don't remember, Parthenon? No, I don't remember what it's called. I do remember going inside of it and being so impressed with the outdoors when I was inside. This one I thought was interesting because of how old the cars are these days. We were inside the building, and the eye of it, the opening, is designed to make you think about the Heavenly Fathers. And this is it. And you go inside, and there's a hole in it, and just the way that it is all built up to look inside there was so impressive to me. The main thing I remember from that day was going in, seeing inside that space, being so aware of the outdoors, coming outside onto the sidewalk, and all this traffic and noise and the sky, but the sky wasn't as concentrated a feeling in all that openness as it had been inside, where it was just a small part of the space. The Colosseum was closed when we were there, so we wandered around it from the outside. Only a little bit of it. The thing is extremely large, so if you were to walk around, I guess that's all you would do that day. But those are some pictures from Italy. I'll be back with another story another day. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Ciao bello. Ciao bella.